What's special about tonight is we are remembering our late drummer David F Gibson, and it happened so sudden. So we asked Jason to play drums. He's usually playing vibraphone, and then this amazing young gentleman who was filling in for Jason when he's playing all over the world with other bands, Joe Doubleday, is playing the vibraphone. So that way it just stays in the family, at least for tonight. David was scheduled to play tonight, and we want to, a few musicians going to say a few words. And are we having a phone call, Cleave? What? Okay, well we have, also we have a bunch of co-leaders in the band, and one of them is in Europe right now, which is Mark McGowan, and we asked some of the musicians if they want to talk about David. So he was supposed to call in. So let's see if he's calling in.
There we go, Brother Gross. There you go. I hear you. Talk so see if they can hear you.
Yeah, 1, 2. Hello, everybody.
You there?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah, I guess I'm speaking to everyone. Hello, everybody. Yeah, this is Mark Gross. I'm currently in the Netherlands, but I definitely wanted to seize the opportunity to talk about our dear departed friend and brother and fellow musician, Dave Gibson. It's about 1:45 in the morning where I am. But that doesn't matter. I was definitely going to stay up, and I appreciated Christian offering to me to be able to be a part of this memorial celebration in the manner of which I'm doing it now. I won't be long, but I did want to just kind of offer out my condolences to the family and his close friends, and to the musicians who are there and everyone who was there to be a part of this. As I'm sure has been already said, David has been one of the most amazing musicians, period, bar none. I first came to know him when he was working with the Count Basie Orchestra, and just immediately thought that, wow, what a swinging drummer. And of course got to know him more intimately with working with Frank Foster and the Loud Minority, and in recent years working with the Duke Ellington Orchestra, where he has been a mainstay amongst other bands and things for well over 10 years or so. So I just want to say to everyone there, and again to the family, he was a beloved person, a well-respected musician. We will always remember him. In fact, we recently did a concert with the Duke Ellington Orchestra, and we thought of him dearly. And again, there's going to be another, through the lens of Ellingtonians, a celebration for him as well. So he has definitely made a huge impact in music and in the New York scene and across the world for that matter. So I want to say to everyone there, I offer you all my support and love to David, and sorry I can't be there, but I'm there with you in spirit and in song. So thank you so much for this opportunity to talk. Okay.
All right, brother. All the best. Great job.
All right. Take it. Bye.
I had it all worked out. I heard a long time ago, you know, if you don't do a memorial, the person died twice. So in David's case, he has 2 memorials. I may announce that there's another one in 2 weeks at St. Peter's, and Patience and I, and Patience in 2 weeks is working with Constance, David's sister, and his brother Randy to put up a memorial. And when David died, Patience was actually the one who broke the news to me. David was living in our building. Really miss David. I'm so surprised, because he really didn't like me when we first met over 20 years ago. We're playing a gig with George G. Lance introduced me. I was moving from Boston to New York, and to introduced me to George. And then we were playing at the Botanical Garden in Brooklyn. And, you know, David has so much energy, you know. I saw him walking over to George, like, you know, he's like talking all kinds of stuff. And he really wanted me off the gig, you know. And I don't know, I was new in New York, you know, I didn't really, I thought, oh, well, you know, this is the last time I play with this guy, that's okay. I just got to practice hard. But we really became friends over the years, and David was really essential when we restarted the Lionel Hampton Big Band in 2015. Kind of the heart piece of the band. And what's really interesting, David had this other sense around him. It could work in your favor or it could work against you, but you never knew what was coming from him sometimes. You know, he picked up on something and was getting on your case, or sometimes out of the blue he would make me a compliment. I'm like, what's going on with him, you know? But there was this surprise element David had with him. And I remember he would kind of fit in the shoes for Wally Gator Watson, who passed in 2009, when I joined the Lionel Hampton Big Band way earlier. But then when Wally Gator died, then David showed up, and we were doing this gig on the Upper East Side at St. David's. And so David was doing the gig, and some other guys in the band, Cleave has been up there, Lance and James. And it was very funny. It was during COVID, I think, or maybe just before COVID. But, you know, David, you know, we were always having lunch before that. And I was taking the bus over from the west side to the east side to St. David's, which is 98th Street, I think, Central Park, east. And I remember, you know, I was heading out the building, and David was just behind me all the time. I'm like, what's going on with him? And he just followed me the whole time. And then he was going with me to the bus stop. I said, you going over to the west side? Yeah, I'm going over to the west side. And so he was relating the story to me that he said, I really have to move out in the Bronx. It's horrible. I'm living in this hole in the wall. We have no heat, no water. The landlord is not taking care of the building. I'm living there for 20-some years. I mean, he lived there for a long time, right, in the Bronx. And also, at nighttime, he couldn't find parking. He always had to double park his car. You know, it was just, you know, and I just said, David, you know, there's a unit empty in our building. I mean, I cannot promise to you, but I'm going to check with the board, see if you can move in. And it was so weird, you know, because, you know, David had this sense sometimes, you know. It was funny, you know. At the right time, he would move in, you know, and sometimes you think he didn't really pay attention, you know, but he did. You know, nothing would really go by him. And I asked the board, and he moved in, and he loved the building. Had a really good time. I miss him.
Okay, I'm going to say a little bit about Dave Gibson. It was similar, my meeting, I think he would come to Charlie Percep's rehearsals up at Boys Harbor, up in Brooklyn, and Percep was a drummer, so Dave would just kind of hang out, and I was new to town. And, you know, they would play. Percep was all right with me, but they both were kind of different kind of guys. So when I was playing with Dave, he would always look at me and frown. So he didn't really like me when I first met him. So he was like, I mean, I guess me and Christian were kind of in the same boat. So he would always frown. And I said, man, this dude is listening to everything. He just, you know. So I was like, oh man, every time I come on a gig with him, I'm like, oh man, I hope he don't be looking at me frowning, because he's always pushing. So, you know, after a while, we got to know each other, and he quit frowning. I don't know if he ever liked my playing, but he actually just quit frowning because we became friends. But the thing that, Dave was a great drummer. Like, he always pushed, and always made sure that things went forward. But the things that people didn't know about Dave was like, you know, he went to Temple, he graduated, he would help with schools, and he had a not-for-profit. And then we became closer when he moved to Jersey, and he was buying this property, because I do some real estate. So Christian and I and some other, we were getting a place for him, and we were outbidded on the place he was doing. So he was calling me, and the person was going to sell a property. So he was like, "Oh, can we do something?" And he was calling me, and I didn't hear any alarm with him. But the thing that I want to leave everybody with, if somebody calls you and there's a concern, listen to him, which I believe I did. But shortly after that, when he had to move, that's when he passed away. And I thought about our last conversation, which was only maybe 2 weeks before that. And I was like, wow, he called me about, finding a place, moving, helping him buy his place. And I was like, I knew it was serious, but I didn't know it was that serious. And I kind of held on to it that, maybe I should have talked a little longer and looked at it a little harder. So Dave was a great drummer, a wonderful friend. And I just wanted to say, if anybody calls any of us, especially fellow musicians, to just really listen to them. Because they might not say everything, but a lot of times it's the words that they don't say that we need to hear. And that's really intuition, emotion, and really true friendship and love. So although Dave is not here with us physically, he's here with us spiritually. And we want to always carry his musical and spiritual gift with us. So just make sure that if anybody calls any of us and there's a need, try to fill it. And that's the thing I want to say. So we all love Dave.
How you doing, everyone? This is a family right here. It's a family. Like every family, we share a lot of moments. A lot of hours at the airport, breakfast in the morning, a tour. And I love each one of these guys over here. They're my brothers. And the reason I say that is because we didn't lose just a musician, we lost a brother, With all the good and bad things that we all have, we all love each other, and we all try to understand each other. And we're gonna miss it dearly, He was, I wanna miss his enthusiasm and his aggressiveness. He was a very aggressive musician, a very aggressive person. And I was always making fun of him, telling him, "Hey man, you look like you're gonna fight me, man, every time you tell me something." And we all know that he was that type of a guy, but we love him dearly, and we're gonna miss him a lot, And this is the first time I say anything about it, but we're gonna miss you, brother.
My name is Vinnie Cutro, and I played with the Lionel Hampton, performed in the 1980s, and it wasn't until 1990s that I actually started performing with other big bands in the New York tri-state area, and ran into David Gibson, and he always had a great, enthusiastic view towards life, incredible musician, and I'd just like to say it was always a pleasure to perform with Dave Gibson. His passion and dedication towards music always presented an uplifting and energetic experience, an experience that everyone loved. His resume as a musician clearly reveals his outstanding credentials, his outstanding professionalism, and his outstanding talents. And on behalf of all of us, we would say that His congenial personality and positive energy will be missed.
Hi guys. I knew Dave for quite a long time. I remember, like Lance, I first met him when he joined the Count Basie Orchestra, and it was a 3-band tour. We went up the East Coast, and I remember this guy was like swinging, really swinging hard. And after that, over the many years, I played with Dave in the Basie band and the Cab Calloway Orchestra and this band and many other bands. And one thing I can say about Dave is he was a great reader. You know, a lot of times you go and you find these drummers and, you know, their reading skills are not up. But Dave could read anything almost perfect. Really, really, really good. And one thing the most important thing I would like to say about Dave is he really, really loved this music. And he always wanted to make it better. And if there was something wrong, he would argue you down the ground. Argue you down to the ground. One day, you know, you might feel like you're gonna fight. The next day, he'd be regular Dave. So one thing, he loved this music, and that's one of the biggest things that I can remember about Dave. Yeah, man, it wasn't swinging. It wasn't swinging. You got to swing. So that's the thing I loved about Dave. I mean, he was a pain in the neck many times, but we always made up to that. I mean, sometimes, a couple of times, I remember on the road, I thought we was gonna fight. But the next day, we came back, and he was a regular old Dave. And we had many a talks. He used to call me at my house, and I hired him in my band many times. And when he told me about his personal life, many personal things, I was like, well, this guy he's a different kind of guy, but he's really my friend. So Dave he was a great guy and a great musician. So I would like to leave you with that.
All right. Something happened the last time we played with Dave. It was a tour. This band, we toured in Germany and Belgium. And one of the engagements we were at a school, playing in a high school or grade school auditorium. And we played our set, and there was a time for questions and answers. And I don't know if it was prophetic, but you know, the parents were there with their kids. One of the parents asked, and my wife always asked me this question, when are you going to retire? I'm like, I don't know. I'm a musician. So one of the parents asked the band, when do you retire? And Dave stood up, I'll take that question. And he said, we retire when we die. And that was the last, probably one of his last gigs. It was just like a few weeks. It was July, and he died right after that. So, yeah, that was deep. So we're gonna leave it with Chase.
One of the things that's a pleasure for me is when you have different generations of musicians that get together. Especially you have younger players and you have older players. You know, it's something that it's just great to see because there's an exchange of information that happens. You know, in some cases you have young guys that are honored that they're playing with an older musician. I mean, one example that involves Lionel Hampton, there was somebody that uploaded this bootleg tape to YouTube, and it was my brother Winton's quintet, and this was like 1983, I think it was. And you know, you have the band, they had their music that they were playing, but they were playing rhythm changes, but Lionel Hampton was sitting in. And it was great to hear that, not only to hear Hamp with these younger players, but you could hear this exchange. You could hear that these guys, they're not playing the way they normally play, you know, because they're honored that Lionel Hampton's up there, like all of them, and they're playing like very different. It's almost like they're supporting him. And so it's like when you have this exchange of generations, it's like they're learning from him in this moment. And so I think that for me, it was a similar thing playing with Dave Gibson. He was someone who was older than I was. And so confirms a lot of things for me, sometimes the drum sound and sometimes his belief in the swing. And I said, okay, well, that's something I believe in, and he believes in that. You know, it confirms for me that I should keep doing what it is that I'm doing. And so one of the things that was great is we would, we're about to play this tune that's called Hallelujah Again, and we would do a similar thing to what Lionel Hampton would do, because Lionel Hampton was also a drummer, and he would do a bit where he would get a tom-tom, and he would play on the tom-tom and trade with the drummer. And that was something that Dave Gibson and I would do. I would get the tom, and he would play on the drums, and we would trade these ideas back and forth. And so it was just always a fun thing to do with him, you know. And it's unfortunate that we can't do that tonight, but I will be thinking of Dave doing the tune that we're going to do for you now, which is Hallelujah Again.